Hello guys, the Architect here, and welcome to another Genshin Impact video. So in this video I'm gonna talk about how to get ready for the next character, or the next banner that's gonna come out, which is gonna be Zhongli's banner. So this guy is gonna change the current quote-unquote meta that we currently have, that it's heavily focused
In a
on
trade
doing
war.
elemental reactions. You see, because right now, most people are focused on having multiple characters of multiple elements to create elemental reactions that would allow them to deal more damage. Zhongli works in a different way, because we could say that the Geo element is actually the selfish element, so to speak, because it actually encourages you, because of the way it works, to have more Geo characters on your team rather than having multiple elements. And we're gonna see why here. Alright, so far we only have a couple, or we only have a handful of Geo characters in the game. So we have Ningguang, we have Noelle, and we have the Geo Traveler, if you decide to use a Geo element. So those are the only characters we have so far. Pretty much, a lot of people say that the Geo character is not very, the Geo Traveler is not very good so far. But we're gonna see why Zhongli is gonna change a lot of the current things that people believe so far. You see, because the way Zhongli works is one of his skills would allow him to drop a Geo construct, pretty much similar to the way the Geo character does, but it's gonna work differently. We're gonna see right now. Let me just create a team with only Geo characters. Alright, so
This world is full of unsolved mysteries.
Understood.
And let's have this.
Oh, how exciting!
Alright, so first we're gonna analyze the Geo character. We're gonna see why having this character could potentially be very good. Leveling up this character could be very good if you are going for Zhongli's banner. Alright, so the way Zhongli is gonna work is he's gonna drop a Geo construct that's gonna resonate with all other Geo constructs around. Everything else you have around. So you can have the rocks from the Geo Traveler, you can have the Wong's barrier, and you can have pretty much any other Geo construct from any other Geo characters that's gonna come out later on. And they are all gonna resonate with Zhongli's Geo construct. Now, what's gonna happen is that Zhongli's Geo construct is gonna cause them to generate damage, like an area of effect damage. So any mob that gets close to these things is gonna suffer damage passively. So that is a very cool ability. It allows you. It's pretty much similar to Fischl, to Fischl's Raven, which pretty much is like a turret that generates damage. It's just that we are gonna have this thing, which works in a similar fashion. You just drop it, you just drop Zhongli's construct, and then you're gonna have this thing doing damage for you all the time to anything that comes close to them. I know it's not exactly identical to the way Fischl works, because Oz only generates damage to a single target. But this thing's can actually hurt everything else. So it's gonna generate like some sort of wave here, and all other Geo constructs are gonna see the same thing, and they're gonna damage your enemies. So that is very game changing, because you're gonna be able to spam a ton of things. Even the Geo Traveler's ultimate, which also generates Geo constructs, this is gonna resonate with Zhongli's ability. Right, so you're gonna have a lot of things around you doing damage for you. So this is actually a very powerful thing. Now we have Noelle. Noelle doesn't generate Geo constructs, but he has another thing that is potentially very good that would work with Zhongli. You see, with Zhongli, he's gonna create a shield for you. Noelle can also create a shield.
I must leave no stone unturned.
And this thing is gonna stack. So if you want, you could have Noelle on your team with Zhongli. You're gonna have two characters that provide shields each. So you pretty much, we're gonna see how strong Zhongli's shield is. But if you have a Noelle build based on her shield, and you actually have this artifact set, which is the one I actually use on Noelle. Increase shield strength by 35%. While protected by shield, gain an additional 40% normal and charge attack. Now here's the thing. With Noelle's ability, her shield ability, you can actually spawn her shield and then switch to another character. It could be your main DPS. Alright? If the DPS has this thing as well, then that DPS is going to deal 40% more damage. And this is gain additional 40% normal and charge attack. Now, this is very interesting because it says additional 40% normal and charge attack damage. Now, this is calculated as flat 40%, an additional 40% flat amount. Alright, so it's the way the game calculates damage, and then to the equation you add flat 40%, additional 40%. It's different, for example, from the from this artifact set over here, the gladiator set, which what it does is pretty much it increases your attack by 18%. Right, so increases your attack by 18%. This is different than because it's just gonna raise your base attack. All right, that it works different. So it is actually a lot more powerful if you just raise your overall flat damage, and that's exactly what this thing does. It raises it by 40%. So whatever damage you deal, this is gonna increase it by 40% straight away. So this is actually very powerful, guys, because you could do all sorts of combinations. You can actually have a lot of your characters on your team. And you could potentially, if you have Zhongli and you have Noelle, you could pretty much, we could say that you could have close to 100% uptime on your shield. So that's why the Geo Element is so powerful, and we could say it's the selfish element. Because theoretically, because Geo Element has also, although it doesn't generate elemental reactions to deal more damage, what it does, it's pretty self-sufficient because it works great with other Geo characters. So that's why it's the selfish element, because it's very self-sufficient, and also it doesn't have any
whenever you need me.
It doesn't have any disadvantages at all. Like, it doesn't have any weakness. So that's why it's so powerful. It doesn't have any elemental reactions, but it also doesn't have any weaknesses. So if you have a team full of Geo characters, or even if you just have 2 of them, you can actually do a lot of crazy things with that. Now let me explain another reason why it would be important to have Geo characters on your team. Is because of this, the Geo elemental reaction, which in my opinion is one of the strongest elemental reactions in the game. So we have this over here. Enduring Rock increases resistance to interruption, but when protected by a shield, it increases attack damage by 15%. Now notice it's flat attack damage. So the attack that you deal plus a flat amount of 15%. Alright, so that is a ton of damage. So this stacks up with the archaic Petra. With the with this artifact set. We also have archaic Petra, but with this, which is retracing Belied, so this plus the passive from the Geo. So if you have a shield, as long as you have a shield, the Geo character, all the characters on your team are gonna deal, and if they have this thing on, they're gonna deal 55% more damage, flat 55% additional damage to whatever damage they were already dealing. So it's 40% from this, plus 15% from the Geo element buff. Alright, so that is a ton of damage. And that is from having Geo characters alone. And because those buffs are so powerful, you actually don't need to focus so much on elemental reactions. Now, not only that, but you will also get shields that will prevent you from receiving damage. So if you have, for example, the Geo Traveler, Ning Wong, Noelle, and Zhongli on your team, for instance, you're gonna have pretty much close to 100% uptime shields. Ning Wong, when she deals damage to elemental enemies, for example, like a pyro slimes, she's gonna generate more shields because when her Jades react with elemental enemies, she creates crystals. And that is going to allow you, you can pick up those crystals and you're going to generate shield. Even though she doesn't generate shields like Noelle, you can still do that by hitting enemies if they are elemental enemies. So you're going to have a ton of shields. You're going to have, all the time you're going to have shields on you. Even the Geo Traveler. You see, because the Geo Traveler has this talent. It says, over here, the final hit of normal attack combo triggers a collapse, dealing 60% of attack as AoE Geo damage. So whenever you generate a Geo damage, whenever you launch a Geo skill on an elemental enemy, it could be a slime, for example, that is going to generate a crystal. You can pick up this crystal, and you get the shield. So every final hit of normal attacks. Now let's see the sequence. Perform up to 5 rapid strikes. So when you have every 5 strikes, you're gonna deal Geo damage. So that means that every 5 strikes, normal attacks, you're gonna be able to generate the AoE Geo damage. That's gonna potentially create a shield for you if you are fighting against an elemental enemy, because it's going to react with that. It's going to create a crystallized effect. So you're going to have a ton of shields. So this is going to not only make you, not only get a team for you that actually gets tons of shields, but also you're going to deal a lot of damage, because as long as your characters have this artifact set on them, they're going to be dealing 55% additional damage. And this is straight by straight flat amount. This is a lot more powerful than having just something as the gladiator set, which only increases the base attack. You know, that is a lot more powerful than this. Okay, you can have also other artifact sets, etc. But yeah, that is, I mean, the Geo Element. That's why the Geo Element is very self-sufficient. Now, what do I recommend if you don't have Ning Wong? Because there's going to be a lot of you who don't have Ning Wong, or you don't have Noelle. Well, Noelle is pretty easy to get. I mean, pretty much everyone has Noelle. But if you don't have Ning Wong, you can try it with Noelle or even the Geo Traveler. Now, a lot of people say the Geo Traveler is bad, but no. The Geo Traveler is not only going to be able to generate shields for you with his passive skill, but he's also going to be able to, I mean, with his normal attacks. But he's also going to be able to place these things that are going to resonate with Zhongli, with Zhongli's skills, and they're going to deal damage for you. So this is going to become pretty strong once Zhongli comes out. It's going to literally change the effectiveness of the Geo Traveler. Even if you don't plan to use this, I do recommend leveling up the Traveler, because as the game progresses, you're gonna have a 5-star character that's able to, not only you will be able to get all his constellations, because you can just get them by literally just completing the story, but also you're gonna have a character that you can swap to whatever element you want. And yeah, it's pretty much a very efficient thing. So there's no way to go wrong if you level up the Traveler, because he is gonna work in many scenarios, and he's gonna gain a lot of extra utility as the new expansions come out. For example, when the Electro Zone comes out, he's gonna get a ton of electro abilities, etc., and so on. So I do recommend leveling up the Traveler. Leveling up Ning Wong would be great, because that way you're gonna have her construct is not only gonna block damage for you, but also if you have her constellation, every time you go through the barrier, it's gonna raise your Geo damage by 15% based on her. Well, that's assuming you have this constellation over here. It's this one over here. Second. Deals. Oh, sorry, no, that is not a constellation thing. That is this character that passes through the J screen will gain 12% geo damage bonus for 10 seconds. Any character that goes through this. So you see how the geo characters enhance other geo characters, because as long as you have that thing on the field, you can do this. Then you can spam Noelle, and then she can go through this as well, and her ultimate deals geo damage. So the more geo characters you have on your team, the more benefit they're gonna have. That's why this element is so selfish, because it works in a way that it actually encourages you to have as many geo characters on your team as possible. So if you have Noelle, Zhongli, Ningguang, and the Geo Traveler, you're gonna have this character that is able to spam the barrier. Is gonna protect you from some range attacks, like the hilly trolls with crossbows. Anything that goes through this is gonna get the Geo elemental damage bonus, and you can just go through it as many times as you want. You can also have the Traveler, and this is gonna resonate with Zhongli's skill, and as well as Ningguang's barrier. You also have Noelle to give you extra shield aside from the shield you're also gonna get from Zhongli. So you're gonna have like 100% uptime shield. You're gonna have a ton of constructs, and that is added to the constructs that you can place with Zhongli, because Zhongli, if you have his first constellation, you're gonna be able to have 2 constructs at the same time. If you don't have any constellation with Zhongli when he comes out, you're still going to be able to place, but only one at a time. Now, one important thing to keep in mind is the following. You cannot place more than, as the game is right now, as I'm doing this video, there is actually a hard limit on the amount of geo constructs you can place. See, I can place this. Now, this thing is supposed to last for 30 seconds. Because I have full constellation. This thing over here. Alright. Now, when I place this, notice that Ningguang's barrier disappeared. Now, there's no 30 seconds yet. The timer hasn't. But, notice that that thing I placed reset. Now, that shouldn't have happened. Because 30 seconds didn't pass yet. And you can actually see that by the way I spam the ability. So this ability has like an 8 seconds cooldown, I think, or a 6 seconds cooldown, and they're supposed to last for 30 seconds. So if you're looking at the cooldown at the bottom of my screen, you will notice that 30 seconds haven't passed yet. Okay, so I'm gonna place, because 30 seconds haven't passed since I placed the last meteorite, and you see that that one disappeared. Why? That's because no matter what you do, the game is not gonna allow you to place more than 3 geo constructs at the same time. So keep that in mind. I think that is probably a mechanic to pretty much like limit the overall power of the geo characters. Because if you have like Zhongli's constellation, first constellation, and you have Ningguang and you have the Geo character, you're gonna be able to have like 4 rocks from the Geo character, plus 2 from Zhongli, plus Ningguang's barrier. So you'll be able to have a ton of Geo constructs, and if they're all gonna resonate at the same time, man, that would be too much. Probably way too much damage, way too much stuff on the screen. So probably that's a mechanic to actually limit the amount of power that you get from a Geo team, assuming you go with full Geo characters like I'm gonna do once Zhongli comes out. Now that doesn't mean that Geo characters are bad if you just place them with something else. You could have like only 2, but I would always recommend to have at least 2 Geo characters on your team if you're gonna use Zhongli, so that he can resonate. Actually, no matter which Geo character you have, I would always recommend for endgame content to have at least 2 Geo characters. If you're gonna use a Geo character, have at least 2 of them on your team, so that you can get the elemental reaction, or the elemental bonus from it. Now, other than that, there's not really a lot much to say. Other than if you're gonna get Zhongli, then make sure you stock up this boss. You also should work on this. These are the two um, sets for Geo characters. One of them increases shield and the overall damage. And we also have this, for example, I have Noelle with this set. It's pretty useful. Now I do have a mix for her. I have 2 pieces of this, and then also 2 pieces of the
A trade war.
and also 2 pieces of the gladiator finale. So we have 18% to her flat damage. Sorry, 18. So we have 15% to his Geo damage, plus 18% to her base attack. All right, so that's how I got her right now. You don't have to do this. You can. It's optional. It depends on your play style. But what I do recommend is to save as many experience materials as you can, and also to spam this domain and to spam this boss, and make sure you have enough materials to level him up as soon as possible once he comes out. Now, that is only if you already have a decent team to work with. Like if you don't even have like a main character or decent level, don't even bother. Alright, I already have my main characters. I have Benti, I have Chi-Chi, I have Luke, I have Mona, and I have other characters at level 70 already, over level 70. So if you don't have that, I would actually recommend that you focus on leveling your characters, because you need a strong character. You need at least to have
So heavy.
4 characters at decent levels to do your content. Because once he comes out, probably there's gonna be a lot more quests, a lot more stuff. Just with like the last update where we had this guy, and there were a lot of other quests and stuff. So if you don't have characters with decent levels, you won't be able to do that. So I do recommend first focusing on your main characters, and once you have that ready, you can continue working on other teams. Anyway, this game is designed in a way that you need to have many teams, especially for the Abyss, which changes every 15 days. So the game actually encourages you to have as many characters as possible. What I'm gonna do is I'm probably gonna end up leveling every single character to level 90, because I want to do that, and then I'm gonna start doing reviews on every single one of them. But I understand that not everyone is able to do that right now. Not everyone is a whale. But yeah, guys, that's it for today. So if you like this videos, feel free to subscribe. You can also join us on Discord. The link is in the description. Until next time.